These videos used to be pretty easy to make. I mean, you had 6 teams, and the Seahawks basically don't count. And you can bank on the Predators to have another heartbreaking season, so then you're down to 4. Then, depending on who the Wildcats have on their team, they're probably going to be a powerhouse. And that boils down to the Eagles having to fight the Mallards. And then the Cobras are usually going to choke on their own potential. So, really, out of the 6 teams, it's just 1.5 to analyze. But no, now we got to have 8 teams. 3 of them are brand new, plus the old teams having mixed up their rosters, trying to bring back some veterans and some power, and grab some popcorn and a candy bar, boys. It's going to be a long one. Hey guys, it is Ben. So, we are currently entering MLW's 9th season in 2019, and it's also, well, a big year. From the beginning, to sell tickets to hosting more public tournaments, MLW is really beginning to come into its own as a massive wiffle ball league. One of the biggest changes and growth to the league, obviously, has been the addition of 3 new teams: the Great Lake Gators and Downtown Diamondbacks to the NL, and the Metro Magic to the AL. Other than some roster changes, the other 5 teams we're accustomed to will be returning: the Wildcats, Predators, and Cobras to the AL, and the Malards and Eagles to the NL. I personally believe that now having 8 teams in the league is the best thing to happen to MLW in a long time. Mainly for the reason that now regular season play will mean a lot more, as now you're not guaranteed a playoff spot. You're fighting for that spot, not just a high seed, and if you do poorly in the regular season, you're not playing in August. So I am very excited to see how this expansion plays out. I'm sure you are too, and I'm sure all of you have teams that you're pulling for and are just really curious to see how others perform. Me too. So today I'm going to give my personal opinion on all 8 teams and rank them from worst to best, and just kind of talk about all these squads and the goods and bads for each. Remember, this is all my personal opinion, so if you disagree, don't get all bent out of shape. Just tell me your opinion below in the comments. I would love to know. And without any further ado, let's start out with number 8. The Gators are easily the underdog of all the new teams entering this year. All 3 of these guys are stars from MLW's AAA league, with Zerlag having won the championship in 2018 and Baker being the regular season MVP. Ruley is the only one with MLW Major League experience, and it's not the best experience. He played on what is undoubtedly the worst Wildcats team we've ever seen, and that would be their 2017 performance. It appears that Baker will be their pitching ace, so it'll be interesting to see how this rookie arm performs against veteran MLW bats. However, overall, I feel the Gators really lack the age and experience to truly compete neck and neck with the other teams this year. And while they could have a bright future after they get some experience under their belt, I don't see them being a major contender this season. So this list, for a couple of picks, I can see being very controversial. This is one of them. So all you Cobra faithful, don't bite my head off yet. And here we go. Drew Davis as an owner seems like a really fun, good guy. Besides that, he's also a very solid wiffle ball player. He hit for .358 last year, and while his pitching stats weren't super impressive, he still was a workhorse on the rubber and gave his team plenty of chances to win ball games. Therein lies the problem: the team behind him. In many past videos, I've talked about the Cobras roster issues. It's been their Achilles heel for years, and I think 2019 will be a repeat of the same story. Last year, the Cobras rarely had a full roster. Hell, there was even a series with the Predators where it was just Drew and Mitch Marvin. You can't expect to be a powerhouse when your team isn't committed to playing week in and out. And moving into 2019, Drew will be mainly left to handle the pitching duties once again. But bringing up the batting lineup is Brendan Schultz. I've said before that I think Brendan is one of the most underrated players in MLW, and a lot of new fans probably don't even know who he is because he's been basically completely absent the last couple of seasons. That's why I'm nervous for the Cobra faithful. If Brendan is able to commit to a full season, he will really give great depth and experience to the team. But if he can't, it'll be left to the rookies Zerlag and Flynn to pick up the slack. And well, you can't expect rookies to carry 2/3 of your batting lineup against ace pitching. There's a learning curve, and without Brendan Schultz, 2019 might just be that for the Cobras. Jack Agner Swagner! I can't do this anymore. As some of you probably know, I had Jack on the Wiffle Statement podcast not too long ago. And in that episode, we discussed everything from how the name came about. I will say this for sure, it's my second favorite team name and logo in MLW. To why he decided to start his own team. And basically, Kyle came talk to him about his plans for league expansion, and Jack was on board and decided it was time he leave the Predators boat he'd been on since 2016 and start his own career as an owner. So what do I think the Metro Magic will bring to the league in 2019? Well, a lot of that hinges on their two rookies. I think Agner and House will bring two solid bats for sure. Combined last year, they had a .308 average, and Agner himself in 2018 had 8 home runs and 20 RBI. So I do think that they'll be able to scrape some runs across the plate. However, the big variable is pitching. Jack has made it clear that rookies Beaton and Hook will be their aces on the rubber. So if these guys can step up and dominate in their first season, or at least pitch well enough to keep them in games, they might be able to give the MLW powerhouses a strong fight. However, we're going to have to wait for them to get a couple series under their belt to really see how the Magic will mold together as a unit. And coming down to number 5 with the last of the new teams, the Downtown Diamondbacks. Simply put, these guys look like they can play some wiffle ball. Competing in the 2018 MLW Wiffle in the Mitt tourney, and then being selected from the MLW team applications they did earlier this year, all eyes will be on the D-backs as they face the Eagles opening day. Rumor has it that Noreski, I'm sure I'm screwing up your name, has a good bit of wiffle experience and has great potential to be an MLW ace, and they should have good team chemistry as all these fellas are good friends based out of Holly, Michigan. And they're coming to the Meadows looking to play some very solid wiffle ball. So that's why I kind of have them here in the middle of the pack. It's a long season, so who knows where the Diamondbacks will be in August, but I myself am incredibly excited to see how this new squad gets out there and plays to see how they match up against the classic MLW powerhouses. Kicking off the top half of the list with the infamous Eastern Eagles. The Eagles are an interesting case. The past 3 years they've had the best regular season record, but the past 2 years have been knocked out of the NLCS, and their team record over all the years is still somehow below 500. So hoping to change that in 2019, what do they have to work with? Daniel always brings no-hitter potential stuff to each start, and Price and him have combined year after year to bring solid hitting, such as last year where they both hit above 300. Neil Smith very quietly proved himself to be a valuable asset last year. Hopefully he will really be able to come into his own in 2019. As for Zach Whalen, he came off of an incredible year in 2017 to just barely playing at all in 2018. He only had 11 at-bats the whole season. So unless he is able to commit to a whole season, he won't be much of a factor for the Eagles. The biggest factor, however, is going to be the acquiring of Andy Duran from the Cobras this offseason. To me, Andy is the biggest factor for the Eagles. He is a very solid wiffle ball player and could be the extra piece the Eagles need to finally make it to another World Series. But again, like I mentioned with the Cobras, will Andy and Zach be able to commit to a full season, or will it fall to Daniel and company to bear the bulk of the work this year? We shall see, but right now, Eagles are at my number 4 slot. The Western Wildcats, your defending champions from 2018, are returning with the same 3-man roster of Kyle Schultz, Zach Purock, and Ryan Kelly. As I said in my 2018 World Series analysis video, it cannot be denied that Kyle Schultz carried his team to that championship. He had one of the best years you will ever see in 2018, hitting .521 and having a 1.87 ERA through 10 wins pitching. Backing up Kyle, Kelly and Purock did play really great defense, and I really think that towards the second half of the season, Purock in particular started getting a lot better at bats, and Kelly walked a lot. This 3-man batting lineup is pretty solid, all things considered, But I do feel that with the new teams coming into the league, Purak and Kelly are going to have to improve at the plate and take some pressure off of Kyle. Because when you are your only team's pitcher and you're also carrying the offense, it leaves you practically no room for error. Still though, it's the Cats, it's Kyle. Never underestimate them. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with, I'm sure, in 2019. Number 2 spot, the Pacific Predators. Bam! All right, now let me explain this. 2019 is going to be the biggest year in Predators history. Yes, I remember the video I made last year. That series with the Cobras was still the biggest fluke I've ever seen, but moving right along. Looking at the Predators' 2018 season, despite that playoff loss, they put together their best season yet. A lot of that has to do with the acquirement of Ryan Cratchit. Cratchit really came into his own as a Predator in 2019. He molded with the team incredibly well and put up some insane numbers as a Predator. So, Warda, of course, is bringing him back, and joining them will be Brennan Russell. This 3-man roster does a lot for the Preds. Mainly, it cuts out all the fat of the batting lineup. All 3 of these guys hit above 300 last year and combined for 53 RBI. There is no reason why this tight and experienced batting lineup shouldn't be one of the best in the league. Coupled with the aggressive base running of Warda and the power of Brennan Russell, it makes their offense all the more dangerous. On the carpet, Cratchit now has a season of experience of what it's like being an ace. And moving into this season, he has the pitches, he has the confidence, and really the potential to shut down opponents this year. Let's not forget about the series with the Wildcats, where Cratchit gave the Predators their first win over the Wildcats in franchise history. Also, Warda has to be a reliable number 2 man. Now that he has had time to adjust to the new pitching distance, he should return back to his form he had in 2017, where he pitched to a 1.97 ERA. If he can do that, he will give Cratchit the help with pitching to allow their bats to do work this season. Now, all that being said, I am aware that this pick is going to be very controversial for a number 2 spot. However, I do believe in everything that I've said, and a lot is riding on this season for the Predators. They have the potential, they have the talent, it's now up to them to perform. Alrighty, now that that's out of the way, here we go. My number 1 spot, the Midwest Malards. Still the best team name in the league. After a crushing loss in the 2018 World Series, in which I really feel like that first game set the whole pace for the rest of the series, and yeah, the Mallards never really recovered. But anyway, now moving into 2019, the Mallards are looking to make their 3rd straight World Series appearance, and, well, I think they can do it. And here's why. Tommy, to me, still has some of the best pitch selection and endurance of any pitcher in MLW. His Achilles heel last year, as I discussed in my World Series analysis, was his high amount of walks per inning. But now that he has had time to adjust to the new pitching distance, he should be ready to dominate this season. Now for hitting, what a lineup. 2 lefties, one a veteran hitter in Tommy Coughlin, and the other great potential as he moves into his sophomore year with Austin Ford. You also have Noah Dabriko, who rakes game in and game out, hitting to a .359 average last year and only striking out 20 times over 85 plate appearances. In wiffle ball, that's impressive. Another hope for the Mallards fans is if McPeak will be able to play a full season in 2019, because despite what the comments say, McPeak is an extremely solid player who really helps round out this powerhouse squad known as the Quack Attack. And fellas, this squad to me easily equals my number 1 power ranking for 2019, and I can't wait to see how they will perform against the other teams on this list. There you have it, fellas, all 8 MLW teams and my personal Wiffle statement rankings of them from worst to best. Now, I am sure my list is going to be very different from yours, so if it is, don't get mad at me, just tell me what you think below. As always, I would love to know. Also, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more from me, please subscribe and drop a like below. It would be greatly appreciated. And fellas, opening day for MLW is right around the corner, May 5th to be exact, and it should be a great matchup of the rookies versus the vets and the Diamondbacks and Eagles. So, be sure to check it out. I know I will. That's going to do it for this video, fellas. Hope you enjoyed it. Get out there and play some Wiff, and I will be talking to you guys soon. Goodbye.